Hello and welcome to bonus episode of Take a Break with me, Adam Walker from Hubspoke Media. And I don't have Mr. Reed with me today. This is a bonus episode. We have jumped at the chance to film this episode with the one and only Mr. Dave. Welcome, Mr. Dave.
Thank you very much. Yay!
I have just actually messaged Andy on Teams.
Oh, okay.
We're both big Teams fans.
Yeah.
Saying, I'm just jumping into a podcast episode. We're going to get this in the can. And I'm filming it with Dave. And he's text back, who's Dave?
Who's Dave?
And I'm like, there's only one Dave. Who is Dave?
I have to give me his details. I'll let him know.
So please introduce yourself, Dave, for everyone that's listening.
Ooh, okay. So, hello. I'm Dave. Is both my name and my job description. No, I am the creative director of a performance history company called Histrionics, which is like living history. If you've ever been to a museum or a castle where there have been reenactors there, except instead of creating some kind of camp or embedded experience, we use actors, scriptwriters, and stage combat artistes to bring history vividly to life in a theatrical way.
Or as I describe it, what did I call it?
Can't remember what you called it.
At an event. We're at an event. Me and Dave used to work alongside each other, and we still do work. We do. Each other. But we used to work a lot more regularly, and I announced him as Dave, the professional dresser-upperer.
Professional dresser-upperer. That was it. Yes, I went to a university reunion. Probably about 2-3 years ago, and somebody I used to house share with in my first year said, "Oh, I've seen your stuff on Facebook and Instagram. You're doing it's professional fancy dress, isn't it?"
Yeah. It's a bit more than that. It is.
Yes, worth the qualifications. I'm glad I went to university.
The first time I met you, I can't remember whether it was at the wedding or the soft play in the Dolphin Centre. The wedding, you were dressed as a knight, and when I say dressed as a knight, this is not fancy dress. This is a proper suit of armour. We'll go into what sort of suit of armour. And all I wanted to do was try and put bits on.
Yeah, of course.
That was the first time I think I met you. The second time I met you, you were in soft play, and it was when I was working at the council, and you were in this activity event through Nick, who we've had on the podcast. And he had you dressed as a pirate, doing sort of games, and it was an under-the-sea themed thing, and you were dressed as a pirate. And that was my first 2 moments of Dave, and I like this. And I in my head, I was like, right, so I've met Knight Dave,
Knight Dave,
and I'm meeting Pirate Dave. And then it turns out there's loads of other Daves.
Well, there are many of the different types of Daves. There's Viking Dave, and Saxon Dave, and Greek Dave, and Roman Dave, and Victorian Dave, and old Druid Dave, who was your favourite for a while, I believe.
Like Druid
Dave. Hello.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There are lots of Daves and lots of costume for lots of Daves as well.
So we're a big believer. We focus on tech under it, but it's sort of business podcast as well. So tell me a bit how you got, because I know the story, but your story and how you set up Histrionics.
Yep.
By the way, you've Googled that, right?
Histrionics? Yes.
Yeah, the definition is so appropriate.
Yes, that's why it's called that. Yeah.
I never realised. Was it multiple personalities?
Yes, yeah. When we were setting up the website, I knew that we were probably unlikely and couldn't get histrionics in part of the description for the website name because it's already taken by the American Psychological Society, because it's a condition where you're particularly overactive, everything's like, big and exaggerated, and also drawing attention to yourself a great deal of the time, which works.
That is basically your CV.
For me, I might have it. I might need to go and see someone. But it also works in the field because it's history as well. So, it's something actually my dad used to say when me and my brother John were little and were messing about or running up and down and screaming or overreacting and having to do a chore that we didn't want to do, he would go, all right, let's set the histrionics. So it was a word that was used quite a lot in the house. So when I came to set up the business 12 years ago, I was like, oh, I know what we'll call this.
I think it's brilliant. I love it. Because especially when you Google it and you see the definition, that explains so much. So how on earth do you go, I'm going to be, in air quotes, professional dresser-upper? I am joking when I say that, because what you do is fantastic, and we'll go into some of that. But how on earth did you start? What was the start? What made you go, I know, I'm going to dress up as a knight and someone will pay me? Because that's essentially what you kind of do. And you create shows around it and all of this. But give me a bit of the backstory.
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to be an actor since I was probably about 7. Always known. And before that, I wanted to do writing. I think I was just obsessed with stories. So I don't remember this, but I asked my dad when I was about 3, what's the person who writes a book called? And he said, it's called call an author. I was going to do a voice then. That's not what my dad sounds like. Hello, it does not sound like that. But we're going to do an author. I was like, great, I want to be an author. That's what I want to do. And how great would it be to write stories? And then when I was about 6 or 7 years old, well, I'm not sure what year it would be now, but a 6 or 7 year old primary school teacher wrote the nativity for that year for school, and it was a comedy nativity. So, and he didn't do it again because it got a lot of complaints. But so the three wise men were members of the A team, and I was
Right.
and
Okay.
I was the innkeeper who was played as Del Boy from Only Fools and Horses.
I think I would like to see this.
It was great. But I remember the reaction I got back from the audience for that. And I'd only been like the narrator and stuff before then. I was like, this is amazing. I want to do this. What's better than writing a story? Being in one. Mm-hmm. And then when I went to uni and we started to do theatre improvisation, I was like, this is even better because I can make up the story as I'm in it. That's the best of both worlds. I absolutely love this. So I was going fully probably down that road for a little bit. And I was very lucky. I got a lot of work right out of qualifying, loads of work straight off of the back of uni. And then it kind of came to a bit of a halt and I wasn't really doing an awful lot of work. And I started to read a lot of historical fiction. And I'd always been into history anyway. Yep. I've got GCSEs and A-levels in it. And it was just an interesting hobby. It's not anything I thought that would ever be professional.
Yeah.
And then I'd not been working for about a year. I've been resting. Is
that what you call it? Is that what you call it in the trade?
But you're unemployed, as everyone else does. And I saw an advert in the Stage magazine for some work that was being cast by an outside company that was going to be taking place at the Royal Armouries Museum in Leeds.
Yep. Fantastic museum.
Brilliant museum. Absolutely fantastic place. Yeah, really good. And I was like, oh, great. And I was living in Leeds at the time. We didn't know with a few friends of mine. I was like, this is great. Let's go along. So I went along to the museum, auditioned with a friend of mine who I was living with and house sharing with at the time. But neither me nor her told the director that we knew each other or were living together. And she was like, what an amazing chemistry you have. This is brilliant.
It's almost like you live together.
I know, yeah, I must cast these people immediately. And then only found out after we got the job. But while I was there for the audition, there was the opportunity kind of like halfway through the day to look around the museum.
Yeah.
And when I did, I bumped into somebody who had been on my university course, who was now working at the museum. And they had, and have still, it's worth saying, a team of people whose job it is to bring their collection to life, the museum collection of arms and armour. And there are different stages and fight combat arenas all dotted around everywhere where they reenact sort of 15, 20-minute mini performances. And I saw one, and I saw my old university mate Anna in it, and I was like, oh, wow. I've not seen her, and this is like before mobile phones, not before phones, that's really old. The 1900s, so long ago. It was before mobiles, so I'd lost touch with her totally. Yeah. And she didn't remember me, but I remembered her, and I went over and I said, hi, it's Dave.
No,
sorry, Dave Cooper, I was on your course, were you? And she claims, I'm not sure I believe her, but she claims that to have not recognised me and thought I was someone else, because her second question was like, oh, right, since we're at uni, have you lost weight? Like, followed this up with then, like, a lot of weight.
You're like, no.
Yeah, mine was no, but I was like, I've only just met you, so whenever anybody asks that question, surely, yes, I have. Thank you for saying I look great. And she said, you'd really like working here. I think I talked to her about, I was out of work. And she said, they are about to advertise for a position, and those were really, sought after positions. It was dead man's shoes, one in, one out.
Yeah.
And she said, they've not advertised it yet, but I know it's coming up. I know the person you should send your CV to. Get that in, send it in, go for the audition. You'd love it. So I did, and after that, the other job finished at the Armouries. I got the job on the interpretation team. Passed the audition, did fight things and stuff.
So this isn't a traditional job because people might think job in a museum, stood maintaining collections and cleaning and
or being gallery hosts or whatever. Yeah.
However, you just said audition.
Yes.
So what were you auditioning for? Like, what was it?
So it was what we had to do, because the interpretation department create their own theatrical pieces as well. They will write them, they'll research them and rehearse them. And that usually, for two of the galleries that are there, it would, at the time that I was there, although one of the galleries now, I think, it involves scripted performance, a monologue. It'll be one actor on a stage delivering a 15 to 20-minute monologue, theatrical acted performance. Yeah. There are areas in the museum that do tours and talks as well. Mm-hmm. And there are also two specific fight arenas, a tournament arena in the tournament gallery, and the Asian and African gallery has a dojo in it. So as well as writing and researching all the background to that, you then choreograph the story of a stage fight. using the weapons of the time, and then talking about to the audience how the weapons work, why they're used in certain ways and not other ways, and then you tie that in with the story of a real life person that was around at the time. So when I did my audition, it's important, obviously, in this role, in an interpreter position, to be have some kind of level of theatrical training. So acting, it doesn't have to, acting experience, it can be a drama school, university, something like that. Some stage combat experience as well. And then what we had to do was we were given a brief about the Mary Rose, Henry VIII's flagship that sank. And we had to do a bit of research on it, and then we had to do like a 10-15 minute talk on it to the audition panel. Then we had to do a scripted piece that they'd given us about that, and then answer questions afterwards as if they were the members of the audience.
Yeah.
And then we had a separate sword fight audition as well.
Just your standard recruitment process.
They just put a pile of swords on the ground and went, right, everyone,
fight to the death.
when we blow the whistle, whoever left gets the job. Go! Ah!
It's like gladiators.
Yeah. With the big thing, the cottonwood things. Yeah, no, so we had and they would assess then how good they thought we were.
So you got the job, obviously.
Yeah.
And then what were you doing? Were you fought sword fighting on a regular basis? What were you doing?
Yeah, pretty much. So we do, at the time, I don't know, I think it's a bit different now, but it was about 6 or 7-ish shows a day. They used to have regular horse shows as well. They had horses on site and stables and falcons as well. So there'd be a couple of opening shows in the day, then some falconry outside, and then there'd be a couple more shows, and then there'd be a horse riding show on the weekday. On the weekend, it would be jousting as well. So guys in proper full plate armour on horseback jousting. And then I didn't do any of that because I can't ride a horse, and getting me just to run along with the big stick's not fair.
You'll never even got to the bit where you get to poke the other person. No. fall off on the run.
Run at you! From down above, so that was not good. So I used to do the commentary for that, or assist with ground crewing, so picking up bits and stuff. And then on a daily basis, you'd be probably performing 1 or 2 shows a day, one of which will be an acted piece, and one of which will be a stage combat piece.
Right.
Which could be either in armour or not in armour, depending on what it was.
So obviously, just cleaning my glasses. How long were you there for?
I was there for just under 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
And then obviously it came to a halt, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
It came to a halt.
Yeah.
So when people are going, because I know I've known you long enough now. Over 10 years, Dave.
Too long. It's too long.
Too long. But I've known you well enough. I've seen people meet you for the first time and kind of like, you could see them kind of going, how on earth did you get into... No, not being sick. How on earth did you get into this as a career sort of thing? So that when you hear that story, it makes perfect sense. But then obviously you moved from that.
Yes.
You lost your job.
Yeah.
And you've gone it alone, Histrionics. Mm-hmm. So tell me about that bit of setting up. What made you do it? Were you just like, I'll give it a crack? How did that happen?
That was scary because all of a sudden it was I was having a family at the time that I lost my job.
Yeah.
They gave me the impetus, I suppose. So there were lots of austerity cutbacks. We had been in a department of 13 or 14 of us. Then it got cut down to about 7 or 8.
Okay.
About 2 years before I left, and then at the beginning of 2011, they said we can't afford to keep this department running anymore with the budget that we've got. So we're going to refit everything, redo everything. And there's not going to be an active performance department anymore. There'll be something called visitor assistants, visitor experience officers who will go around, but it's not performance and it's not acted anymore, which for me, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the same level of hours or pay either. And about that time that I found out we were going to be made redundant was the same month that I also found out that my wife was pregnant as well. By me too. Hooray! Win!
Congratulations.
So thank you very much. So it was like, right, I've got, and we were being made redundant. The notice period was really short, and they were paying us in lieu of notice.
Yeah.
But it was, you're going to be gone in 4 weeks.
Jeez.
So right, okay, I don't know how to do anything else other than this.
Ringing places up, going, do you need a sword fighter?
Hello, is that Tesco's? Do you guys do performance? Hello? No, it's just ringtone. No, I was like, right, if I don't know how to do like anything else at all, and my wife Val, as is often the case, a load of other of her friends were at various different degrees stages of pregnancy at the time. Yeah. So it was like, right, everyone's getting pregnant. What are we going to do? And I'm from Leicester originally. We were living in West Yorkshire at the time, near Halifax. I was like, right, so we don't know anybody there. I'm not going to have a job, but I really don't want to stop doing this. And it's about the only thing I know how to do, and I've been doing it for a long time. Why don't I just sort of carry on doing it? And I didn't know anything about the freelance section, but there was a guy called Mark Griffin who worked for a company called Griffin Historical, who were really good, who are freelancers. And they've been working with English Heritage for years. And he'd heard that people were being made redundant and said, ooh, who'd like to come and do some work for me? And me and a couple of other people said, yeah, we would. And it was great. And I spent about a year then freelance on the circuit, not as Histrionics, just as Dave, working for various different groups and people to find out how it all worked and went together and what kind of things, how it was different from the museum. And then once I got that kind of sorted out in my head, I was like, right, I think, because you get hired for jobs from loads of different clients and companies, and they would hire you as an actor, but you have to bring your show with you. So they were paying you a fee to perform, but they're not paying you a fee to write the show and do the research and stuff like that. That's just the industry standard for that.
To get into it.
Exactly. So it's like, right, at the moment, I am for other people creating my own content. So it's like, well, what I want to do then is create my content for me and deliver it in my style, not create content.
In the marketing world, you're a content creator, very much so.
Yes.
Very much so, but the true meaning of the sense is you're having to create. Well, you're creating the story around historical fact.
Yes.
In your case.
Yeah.
And I'm creating on history stuff.
That's it.
What was your first gig then? How did that come about?
My first gig, Histrionics gig, was it up in the wedding where we met officially? Thinking when that was the summer, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. It was near World Book Day, our first gig, actually. It was in Ossett, near Leeds.
Yep.
And I just bought a suit of armour, as you do.
As you do.
As you do. Again, because the armour
was it the middle aisle in certain...
Yeah, Tesco's again. Yeah. This one.
Little aisle.
Margarine, take some batteries. Oh, armour.
Yeah.
No, the armouries, again, because they'd gotten rid of and made redundant their staff, they had no need to keep the costume and the kit and equipment that the staff used. So they allowed us to use our settlements to go back and buy kit and equipment, because a lot of stuff had been made directly for us and would be difficult to source to other people, and they weren't doing any shows back then anyway, so we were allowed to use the money that we'd been paid in lieu of notice and our settlements for service to go back and buy in costume. So I'd gone back and bought a suit of armour from the armouries, carted it back on the train in a wheelie suitcase, and then I think not my first gig freelance, but my first Histrionics gig was doing a World Book Day type support thing. It was a walk, actually. Yep. It would have been a walk in Ossett Park. We all got together and loads of people. Pardon?
Sustainable transport.
Yeah. Sustainable transport, yeah. So we'd done some stuff. A guy called Johnny Gibson, who worked out of Wakefield Metropolitan Borough Council, had done a load of work with Leeds Armouries when I'd been there, and I'd done some work with him on the staff. He'd rang up and go, hey, who wants to dress up as a knight and help with the walk to school project to draw attention to this new route that this new primary school have got? And everyone went, yeah. And then he told them what time it started, and everyone went, no, that's really early, we're not going. But I lived fairly close at the time, not too far away anyway. And I said, I don't mind, that's totally fine, I'll do it. What do we want to do? And dressed us up as a knight, and then we met in a pub car park and walked a route from the school that was lined with flags, St George's Day flags and people waving flags. It could have either been like a celebration or a BNP rally. It could have gone either way at the time. And people, but when I got to the school had wanted a show, but hadn't mentioned they'd wanted a show to my manager, who didn't know about it. Yep. So my manager was like, well, they want a show about sustainable travel and history. And I was like, okay. How long do we have before we do the show? And they're like, 20 minutes. I was like, right, leave me alone for 15 minutes and I'll write a show. And there was a plot of a film, and I never remember the name of it. It's about dragons anyway, and it's got an American guy in the lead, and it's about them accidentally waking up a dragon, and they do a lottery so that no one gets eaten all at once, and they promise to send the dragon one person each. Like one day in this thing. I was like, great, I'll nick the plot of this film. Everyone's already dressed. All the kids are in fancy dress as knights, princesses, kings, queens, dragons, monsters, whatever. I'll just get one of them up, feed them their lines, and we'll do a 20-minute story version of this film, but we'll make the hero St George because it's St George's Day. Yep. And that was my first sustainable type project, but that was still at the Armouries. We did that show. Yep. And this guy, Johnny, who was the travel officer for Wakefield, came and was in the audience, was like, oh my God, that was great. How many times have you done that? I was like, including then? One.
Just now.
And he was like, great, could you do more? So they used to lend me out to do knights, cowboys, and something else. Pirates.
I mean, essentially, as I know it, that was the making. I mean, I didn't know it when that happened.
Yeah.
But in terms of the model that I've seen with Histrionics.
Yeah. That's
in that
really
15 minutes, you essentially created your business.
Yeah.
Like, as what you're doing now. And I think just touch on, I used to do a lot of work in sustainable transport marketing, for those that don't know outside the podcast. Dave was doing numerous walks to school. In fact, he did some of the projects I was working on. if you want to get kids walking to school, you need to run an event like that, because Dave will come in whatever costume it is for that day, get the kids to embrace it, and then they have this absolutely wild and mad assembly where you get the kids just hyped up, having a really good time, but you get them interacting. You're saying about feeding the lines, the way you do that is you'll say, and then Gary said, and then you literally tell them what to say.
Yeah.
You know, you shall not go past here. And then the kid goes, you shall not go past here. And they all start doing funny voices, and the interaction's hilarious. And then you'll often get the staff having to do silly noises or silly things and stuff like this. And it was absolutely fantastic to see coming into it. And some of my favourite memories in terms of like going, some of the projects I did at that time. And I think it emerged to me, because that was you as a knight.
Yeah.
But you've touched on all the other sort of things, and we'll go into that. But I said to you, it's like you've got a category. You've got like a catalogue of Daves for you, because obviously that's you. I know you do fighting with other people. Obviously, you need someone to fight against. You know, you can't fight on your own. But on that piece of work in particular, it's like, and I was saying, you need to show them a category of Daves. And you know where I'm going with this.
I do
already.
know where you're going with
it. Yeah, because I'm linking it back to tech here. I'm linking it back to tech. So you remind me what, obviously we'd been working together a bit and looking at things. Remind me what I told you, Dave.
Okay, so like for years.
This is where business and technology come into this podcast now.
Okay, so
right?
So yeah, we've been doing the walk to school stuff for ages. So that walk to school formula was created by me. And then when I was doing it, and then I transposed it over to Histrionics. When we created it, went back out to those people and said, "Hey, not the museum anymore. Set up on my own.
Yeah.
What stuff do you want?" And we did knights, Romans, ancient Greeks, pirates, Victorians, First World War, Second World War, loads of different characters for support, and sometimes storytellers telling a whole range of history as well.
Yeah,
and
so
cultural
some
things
of the
like
things that you touched on, was it the army that were marching, walking? You tied that back into walking.
Yeah. So there's a big Anglo-Saxon victory about Alfred the Great gets stuck in a swamp, having run away from a surprise attack by the Vikings at Christmas time in the middle of the 9th century, and through working with the people that live in the Somerset marshes, and also exercising and walking around, having had no horses, and they can't certainly use the horses in the swamp, they managed to surprise a Viking horde at the Battle of Ethandune by essentially walking out of this heavily swamped area and surprising them all through victory, through exercise. But he also managed to organise everybody together, because he insisted that all of his warlords could read and write, and he wrote them messages. So for a school doing a project of walking to school, that's great, because it's the first victory that I know that was achieved by walking and reading.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant. And so there are lots of other stuff. The Roman story about anti-pollution stuff. So a chap called Vitruvius, who was instrumental in putting together some of the first ancient Roman clean air laws, which are 2,000 years old, or at least the oldest ones we found evidence for anyway. But yeah, so there are many Daves, going to many people in many different ways. And then COVID happens, and there's no Dave. Well, there is one Dave at home.
Sat at home, staring at the wall.
But not being other Daves.
But what had I been talking to you about before this?
Before this, for years.
Before COVID, for how
years. Oh, God,
must be
I don't know.
years.
There must have been 3 years.
3 years.
It was at least 3 years, because at every single... So, for those that don't know... after about the first 6 or 7 months of being in business, Histrionics managed to secure a contract with Darlington Borough Council and Durham County Council to do events on a project that ran for 3 years and then was extended for another year on walks to school, specifically across both of those regions. And because of those, I became a member of a group called ModeShift. Again, for those that are unaware, which is a kind of a funded by its members organisation that supports kind of professionals growing healthier places and healthier people, supporting travel plans and making travelling to school or work safer and healthier, and those people doing it as well. And we'd have like conferences, and you and I used to be on the road show as well regional awards road show every November, and then we'd meet up for the final awards of all the regional people in April, usually in London, often at the Houses of Parliament, and then we'd do the annual general meeting as well, which shifted locations.
And you'd be, just so everyone knows, you'd be comparing these events.
Yes, comparing.
So you'd be Dave, as in you. You'd be Dave.
Actual Dave, like not, Dave Vanilla Dave.
Not like, a historical Dave. Yeah. You'd just be Dave.
Where's the metal man gone? No, this is original Dave. OG.
Yeah.
And then at every single one, where's the camera? At every single one, you would say, you need to sort some videos out. you need to get videos of yourself. You need to record videos of all the different Daves. You need lots of different Daves, different Daves per video. A catalogue of Daves in front of people on a video. And I would go, that's a really good idea. That's a great idea. And then never do it.
Yeah. Who knows? I may even need that one day if a pandemic ever broke out. Is kind of the route that we're going. So you never did it?
No, I never did it.
Did you? COVID broke out.
No, and then and I was kind of gently pushed into it by a mass global pandemic.
Gently pushed into it. You got a text message probably 3 days after we went into lockdown.
Yes, yeah.
If now's the time to make your videos, you do it now.
Yeah. You're like, do it now. Let everybody know. Spend the next few days just recording back-to-back videos and then release them out over time, which is exactly what I did. And I had no idea what I was doing. And again, you see a company like Histrionics, you don't think that technology, certainly not technology like streaming technology, videos, cameras, voiceovers, is going to be something you're going to be doing a lot of. But it came in really handy, stupidly handy, because it supported the family. Because I remember talking to you and I was like, oh, what, do you reckon I should do loads of videos? Yes, do loads of videos. Yeah, that's not how you talk with you. Do loads of videos, Dave.
I don't talk like that.
You can only get that to be great.
No,
it's
not
not
like
how you
that.
talk. No. All right. All right. So, yeah. And you
said do loads of videos, Dave. Thanks.
Yeah, do lots of vids, and I was a bit worried about it. That's great and everything, but we have no food, and you were like, that's okay, because if you doing these videos
you
will be
eat nothing.
Yeah, because you've got nothing. Support, it'll be great because you put together a site where people can come, and if they like the style of the videos that they see, then they might say, well, you've done this very general story about the Magna Carta or Dunkirk or whatever it is. But if they've got something they specifically would want you to do, then they'll approach you with a commission for it.
Now, I don't know whether the question mark you had over it is like, if I do my show online, and put it online, does it devalue it? I think it might have been the fear.
Yeah.
But I was like, if we could just get your different Daves out in front of people, I know that it'll convert. So what you started doing was you started producing a load of videos. You're recording in a closet, literally in a closet, weren't you? Wasn't it?
Yeah, I did a lot of the if I was doing voiceover or stuff like that, I was in a cupboard under the stairs, or if not, then there's a tiny amount of room between the foot of my bed and the back wall of the bedroom where the radiator is, and that became Histrionic Studios for the duration of lockdown.
Yeah, and you did all sorts, and I would have the kids dialing in at home because I was trying to homeschool them, and we're putting stuff on there, but you were sharing it and putting it out there. But I think, what was your experience of that? Because I know there's so much we could talk about your business, but I think from a tech point of view and marketing, it was really interesting to see what happened next.
Yeah.
So what did happen next? Because obviously you got no money coming in because you essentially involved getting a load of people together and doing activities. Pandemic kicks that into touch.
Yeah.
So you start doing these videos on your own, in your house, kids at home, trying to shut up while I'm recording kind of thing. And you start producing them and they were great. So at first it was just you against the white wall, but then you started doing green screen, didn't you?
They did, yes, yeah.
You started getting fancy.
I did.
It's going to his head, this.
I got kind of really quite into it. So, we were talking about it. It was all the same background. And I was like, he doesn't even have to be too changeable. Wouldn't it be great to have a green screen and learn how to use that?
Yeah.
And then I could a background of a castle or a background of a fortification or something like that, or a palace. So we ordered one online, I think a good way through, before the second lockdown. And had that, and then I had to learn all the chroma key stuff, which again I didn't know, but wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be. I think that worry about, certainly with tech stuff, if you're not experienced, the concern is, what do I do? And it kind of puts a block in the way. It's like, just empty your brain and just see how it works. So we started doing, and it was all like early stuff on my phone and stuff to start with. And then we got the green screen in, and then I learned how to use all the various different bits of video editing software as well that I hadn't done before. And again, I'd just been doing that on my phone, but then we started doing it on the computer.
I always think during that first period of lockdown where you started turning out the videos, I'd love to be your neighbours over the road. Because you're just whittering onto a phone, dressed in the most bizarre historical gear. Yeah, you could have like wigs, big curly wigs on. You've had hats. You've done Pagan Dave, didn't you?
Yeah.
Have a grey wig and
big grey wig. Yeah. And he used face paint to
wearing
grey out my
essentially
beard.
a potato sack.
Like
your neighbours over the road must have wondered what's going on.
What was great is when we used to get deliveries to the house, because I was filming on a phone and I had 5 feet of space. You put up a ring light and the prop and the green screen. There's not that much room for me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm only filming from the waist up. So there's no point getting historically accurate trousers on. So I would be there in a knight's gear up to my belt, and then I'd have jeans on. So I would answer the door in tracky bottoms and a pair of once. What was I dressed as? I think I was dressed as a First World War soldier. No, I wasn't. I was dressed as a pirate, but I had a red waistcoat on and a long grey jacket with a pirate hat and a neckerchief and a sword belt, and then also a pair of jogging bottoms and a pair of slippers that looked like hobbit feet, and answered the door like that to an Amazon guy. Hello, I won't ask. It was written all over his face. I don't want to know. I don't think he even looked me directly in the eye.
I love that. So, what was your experience there? You started putting the videos out. What started to happen? What changed?
Yeah, so it was a really big learning curve. Again, I wasn't overly proficient in the tech stuff, but what started to happen was we, as you had said, started to get people going, these are really great, loving the vids. There was a lot of interaction again online from crafting the stuff on YouTube and releasing it out that way. People started to make requests. And follow the YouTube page and ask for certain historical periods. We then started to get commissions from people. So different councils had commissioned various different projects that they wanted to get out because they couldn't do performances to their audiences either. They wanted to get out videos. So when the kids were going back to school after the first lockdown, Hampshire County Council asked us to produce a video called Travel in Time, where it was different characters from history talking to their students about how to get to school, thinking about the new route to school. And we did that as a different series of characters. So for the little ones, we did it as a pirate, getting you guys to look at the treasure map and checking your route before you go to school. And then the Roman soldier was making sure that everyone was marching in the right direction for Key Stage 2. And then I think we had a soldier talking about how to navigate through dangerous ground, talking, about crossing over busy roads for those people that had missed the end of primary school and now were starting out after lockdown at secondary school. And it was only a very short video. I can't remember exactly how long it was, but we won an award for it.
Did you?
We did. Well, it was voted best project under £1,000 at the Modeshift Awards Convention.
Yes, I do remember that. So I'm just having a little look on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
The first one, The Gentleman Pirate,
yes,
got 1.5k views.
Yeah.
First video.
Yeah.
What amazes me, I mean, you've done History of Chocolate, Great Fire of London, nearly 4,000 views.
4,000 views, that one. Yeah, that's the most popular one.
King Tut's Tomb.
Yeah.
And you called it History at Home, didn't you?
History at Home, yes, yeah.
Yeah. And you've got Ernest Shackleton, you've got the Romans in Britain.
Yeah. Well, because we get
VE Day special, because it's VE Day during the anniversary.
We did a St George's Day special as well. And we get requests from teachers who were wanting content to put out for home learning for those kids that had computers or iPads or tablets or whatever at home. And it's like, could you do this? Because my lesson's coming up on this next. And a load of us school people have got together and we've got some cluster money that we can give to you to record this. Could you do it? And it's like, yeah, okay. And then broadcast out to them. And we got requests for birthday messages as well. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. People would go, there was one family with 3 kids, all who have attention deficit hyperactivity, who all really loved the channel and all wanted special birthday messages from their favourite characters in history. So then I'd record it for them and then send it on to their grown-ups and they'd play it for them on their birthdays.
That's brilliant. I love that. I didn't realise you did that one. That's great. Cameo is like the app, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
But then moving forward, so obviously come out of COVID, you've done the in-person stuff again, but you've still got videos that are up in places. Isn't there something in Wakefield, I want to say? Or I might got that wrong? Yeah,
no. I'm not quite sure how long it's running for, but we've done videos on health. There was a group of secondary schools in Wakefield that had done various different surveys on how healthy they were, how much snacks they eat, how many snacks they eat, how much they'd exercised, how many young people at the secondary school had taken up smoking even though they shouldn't have done, how many of them sneakily drank. And it was a completely honest, full, frank survey about numbers rather than identities that they wanted to talk about. But they wanted a way looking at that about exercise and looking at travel and things like that and how happy they were and how stressed they were. And they wanted to put that out there, but they didn't want to do it like it's just one person reading it or just typing it out. So the year before, they'd had a guy come along and do a David Attenborough impression as if it were a nature video. Okay. People at this school regularly walk 50% more than usual. There's another Dave. It's naturalist Dave. I can never remember which one it is. Naturist. That's the guys who are naked, I think. But I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. It costs more. So there was that guy done it, who was a really great bloke, and then they were like, right, we want a different one this time. So they did it like a history documentary, but as if you were talking to people specifically from Wakefield's history. Yeah. So people that Wakefield students would learn about, and we did that, and that's still going, I think, that one.
And you've done some stuff on the railway in Darlington, haven't you?
Yes, we did. As well as doing the presentation videos, we're like, right, what's the next thing we can do? And like the interactive shows that we do interactive videos where I'm essentially in front of a green screen doing interaction and talking about the Rainhill trials and the Darlington railways, and the birth of the passenger railways and everything like that, where we're offering interactions as well with people doing different bits and bobs. It's just me on the camera, but I'm leaving gaps for people who I can't see or hear to do actions along with me.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. What I like about your business model is like well, A, it's fun.
Thank you. me too.
Yeah. But B, how it was good to see from my point of view. It was nice to see technology playing its part to help you through that difficult period. But equally, are you still getting requests for videos every now and then? At the moment?
Yes, yeah. It obviously, because live performance came back, but again, it wasn't like a switch. It didn't go like, right, let's go, we're all okay. So it was a slow increase in the live performance stuff, and then a slightly slow decrease in the tech stuff. But having said that, we still do get requests for videos. We still do get. I mean, I've just finished one yesterday or the day before. On Monday, I finished a video for Mode Shift Stars that I've been doing with you in the studio this morning.
Yeah, we've been live streaming from here.
Yeah, so doing the live streaming from here, which is fantastic. They every year we do, or every couple of years, an introductory video again, which I say every year, which I hadn't done prior to lockdown. I wouldn't have done without any of the technology.
You've done that. Yeah, you started incorporating that in different ways.
Yeah. So it ends up being like an event support thing, and then again, similarly with conferences and events and things, I get done. But the Wakefield one that you're talking about was only last year, April last year.
Yeah, because I was thinking about this because you've never met Jess, who's behind the camera there.
No, hello, Jess again. She's waving.
So Jess came July last summer, and I was thinking, when did we do the TV advert that you're in? So Dave was in the second advert for Darlington College.
Woo!
He was in it with my wife, and it was promoting the adult learning courses, and I come up with a 3D stop motion idea, which essentially involved me ringing Dave going, "Hi Dave, are you happy being paid to essentially lie on the floor and do all of these different like walking poses?" I basically used you as a model, a puppet, however you want to call it, and got you to move. What struck me with that is the energy that you bring to it, because essentially I think that advert is 974 images.
Yeah, wow.
I think, and some of them had to be photoshopped.
Yeah.
We had to do some camera trickery with the lorry.
Yeah.
So the idea is, Dave, if you haven't seen it, just go to Darlington College, look at the adult learning advert, and you'll see Dave basically on the floor, and you start off crawling up a hill, which was a hose pipe, and I'm like trying to whip the hill around, and that was painstaking. I was sweating profusely that day because we essentially pulled out the white screen on the floor. You laid on the floor, and then proceeded to take all of these photographs.
Yeah.
And I knew there's one bit where we throw a book and we zoom into the book. And I was like, that's when we can get lunch, because I don't have to try and put anyone back in the right position again. But what struck me with that is you were just getting on with it, as in really going for it. But when I did the edit, it was like each and every moment, your focus and energy on that advert, like doing the right, it was just one frame, which will pass over so quickly. Yeah. But your facial expression, the whole thing, you were on it, the whole thing. And I just see how much focus and you've got to take with these things, whether it's doing that, rolling around on the floor in my office to do the TV advert. It honestly looks a lot better than it sounds. I promise.
It does, yeah. That sounds
and it went really well.
Yeah, it was really good.
The advert's been really successful.
Yeah.
It's recognisable, and that's why we went down that route. But obviously, attention to detail. I love the fact that you bring the history stuff into it and focus in. But then the best thing for me is when like last year, Mode Shift Convention, I was there, and you're there wearing your suit of that. Well, you were in Viking last year, weren't you? I can't remember.
No, I can't remember now.
Yeah, you were. You put the picture up on screen earlier today. Or was that 2 years ago?
That's two, because we did. Yeah, it was York, wasn't it? I was a Roman last year.
Yes,
it was. Yeah, 2 years ago was the one. Yeah, where we sat on the panel in the armour. That was a couple. And last year was ancient Roman at York.
That's it. And I've got a picture of you in a VR headset, so it's like a Roman wearing a VR, which I thought was really cool juxtaposition.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's good fun that.
But no, like it's so fascinating what you do, and it's just so different. We talk to a lot of different businesses, and I wanted to get you in to sort of talk about your journey and your experience. On that, running a business, what is your biggest challenge? Apart from you replying to emails.
That's I'm terrible.
I'm getting
for
that dig in there now.
Terrible. Yeah,
Well, I would, because you do it.
I protest because it's
forever.
fair. It's fair. I do take forever to reply to emails. I never know what I'm going to be, and then I forget. That's number one. Keeping track of who it is I'm supposed to be replying to,
and who you're dressed as. You don't turn up at the wrong thing.
Oh, that's a constant fear. I'm just turning and go. Are you ready now to sail the seven seas? We're expecting an Anglo-Saxon. Oh, you got a pirate now. It's not happened yet. Closest I ever came was accidentally getting dressed as a samurai for a piece about the Wild West. And I had to very, very quickly get dressed as a samurai and stick my moustache on that I needed to be the Wild West soldier, but that was at the museum. I think the biggest challenge, it's difficult replying to emails, and it's a constant kind of on either maintaining clients or getting clients, because again, if I'm doing schools and museums, event people tend to move on, and if they've not passed on information necessarily, it's that kind of reminding. I've not heard from them for a couple of years. I need to remind them. But I wouldn't say that's the biggest challenge. I'd say the biggest is because it's so easy to access everything from technology, from my computer and from my phone, clients. It's so easy to write scripts, record videos, send them to different versions of myself on different technological forms. The biggest challenge is remembering not to work when I need not to work. Because Histrionics Studios is based at home, and the recording studio is my bedroom, and the office is the dining room. I live in a 3-bed terrace, so it's my office is also where we eat, and the playroom for the kids. So it's easy,
and that's because you're often on the road, to do live performance. You've got to go places.
Absolutely, but again, you do that, you got to go. But when you come back, there's the unpacking that needs to happen, so not everything's in the way, and then there's admin and invoicing, and then prepping and advertising for the next time. And it's remembering occasionally that even though there will still be that to do, there's always stuff to do, and you can take a break from that. See what I did there? From that to stop and just play with the kids.
You've got to appreciate that.
See
one.
there,
you get a half smirk.
Thanks, that was it there. High praise indeed. Thanks, Jess. On a round of applause as well.
She was giving a half smirk.
But to remember to break, because if you're working from home, it's not like you're taking your work home with you. It's already there.
Yeah, I agree with everybody in business. I'm the same. Been really trying to focus this year on making sure I'm taking time away. I've got a holiday booked in a couple of weeks.
Right.
When I say I'm off, I'm not going anywhere. But making sure that I take that time. I think that is one of the biggest challenges in business.
Definitely is.
There's one story that I want you to finish on.
Ooh, go on.
So it's when you were, I don't know whether it was your son's school, suit of armour.
Yeah.
It was a school suit of armour, not too far from your house.
Yes.
You know the one?
Possibly.
Yeah, where you needed assistance.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay, it is my
so
my
this
son
is my favourite.
Favourite one?
Favourite. Oh, it just is. It cracks me up every time. So, and I think everyone should just take this away today, because, the reason why it's my favourite is I might have something that's not working, like email, or I don't know, I can't edit a picture quite in the way the light was off, and I can't get the result I want. Whereas this is like your equivalent of that. In terms of, if you take my photography example, this is like your equivalent. So you had a booking come in.
Yes. So I had a booking come in, which you do regularly, quite do for a school, and it was within walking distance of my house. It was, I don't think my daughter was going to the school then, but it's my son's school.
Yeah.
Not his class, but they were like, we've heard you're into doing history stuff, and we'd really like you to come along in a suit of armour. And I said, that's great. And I love wearing the armour, but there's a problem with armour, or at least an issue that needs to be addressed. And that is you can't get it all on yourself. It's not like putting on a jumper and a pair of trousers, because it's made of metal and doesn't bend or yield. And because it physically has to be tied to itself or bits of you through buckles and strings and things, you can get half of it on yourself. So from a technology point of view, very well made and articulated for the lower legs, upper legs, and your shoes if you're wearing armoured shoes, and then probably some kind of chainmail, or mail to use the proper term, vest. If you want a breastplate and a backplate on, it's virtually impossible, because the buckle's around the back in the middle of your shoulders, on my suit of armour anyway. And it's two pieces that go together. And then with the front and back going together and buckling in the middle of my shoulders, then the arms tie to the straps that go through the buckles and then down your arm. And again, you can't reach them with metal hands, and you can't bend that way with metal arms. So you need help. You've got to be able to get help. And I said, I can't, I'd love to do it, but I can't. If I bring 2 people, I'm only bringing someone to the school to dress me and then going, but I dismiss you for the next 5 hours, come back. And obviously, it being, I would have to pay them for their time. And they were like, right, we haven't got enough money for that. But you only live around the corner, don't you, Mr. Cooper? So could you walk to the school in the armour if your wife dresses you in the metal and then you walk to the school? We could undress you after you've done the event with the children, after you perform for the children and done the in-school thing, the workshop and the presentation. Then come out and we'll take your armour off in the staff room and you can bag it up and walk back with the suitcase. Great. Okay, you're on. So I received some interesting glances walking up my street whilst wearing a full suit of armour. It weighs 4 stone, which is, 25 kilograms or 55 pounds. Yeah. It makes a noise like somebody dropping everything that's in their kitchen.
So that's like an overweight holiday bag.
Yeah.
Suitcase, yeah?
Just on a person of metal.
Yeah, on a person.
Yeah.
So it's like, think when you go on holiday, it's like you've just gone over the weight allowance.
Yeah.
And you're going on holiday, that's what you're wearing.
Yeah. Hello. And I'm carrying a sword as well, walking up the street with a tiny pull-along suitcase, which the armour's going to go in once I've taken it off. I'm walking past builders that are doing up houses on the street, like, hey, where are you going? And get to the school, get in, sign in, which wasn't easy, but I did it. Did the show, did the workshop. Came out of the workshop and the teacher said, right, thank you so much. That's absolutely brilliant. I've got to go now. I'm on a course. And I was like, are you not addressing me now? You're not addressing me. No. I have to go to course. Oh, but someone in the office will help you. Oh, okay, fine. Thanks very much. Bye. I go into the office and go, sorry, Mrs. So-and-so has said they can't get me out because they've gone on a course and the other person's looking after the classes. Would you be able to get me out of the armour so I can get home and be okay? Because I've got lots of armour on. It's very heavy. I'm exhausted. Please, no.
You all said no one at home, didn't you?
No. Pardon?
You all said no one at
home. No, there's no one at home. No. They were like, no, sorry, it's not been risk assessed. No one's told us. If we hurt you, we'd be... And I was like, but I'm trapped in it. I can't get out of the metal. I'm stuck in the... Please take me out. No, sorry. No one's told us we can't. Is there anyone else who could help me? No, everyone's in class. You could wait for the next hour and a bit till lunchtime. I don't really want to do that. No, sorry. Well, you're just going to have... We can't. No. And I was like, you do realise that if you don't take me out of the armour, I'm wearing it for my life. And they're like, no, sorry, we can't. No. And they refused point blank to take me out of it. So I had to walk back to my house with an empty suitcase and a sword. There was nobody in. My wife was out. My son was at school, obviously. I let myself in whilst wearing a suit of armour. I knocked on my neighbours' doors to see if they were in. No one in to help me. So I had to just get into this weird, almost fetal position, propped up against a couch so I could balance and then reach around to undo the straps on my arms and back. And then I had to undo the belt and spin the armour through 45 degrees. So my arms were now, if that's the right degrees, pointed essentially out of my stomach and my back, and then try and lift the armour over my head whilst not letting it clamp on my face as I took it off.
I've undressed your armour.
Not like that.
I think no, that is just one of my favourite stories. And I just wanted if you're having a hard day in the office, just think how much harder Dave's was.
That email's not sent, or that image just keeps bouncing back. It's not sending. Well, I was trapped in full stone in my own clothes for 2.5 hours.
And I have had the pleasure of undressing you, which sounds wrong, but I've had to get you out.
All wrong. I roll around in your office, you've undressed me.
Absolutely, I don't know how you got out of it. Like it's hard to do.
Yes.
Like trying to reach through the plates and get the various bits, but it's an impressive kit. It's an impressive kit.
It's great, good stuff.
Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
And I just wanted to get you on. So, if you want to know more about Histrionics, where can people go?
The people can go to www.allthehistory.com to find our website where we give details on who we are and where we are performing in the world, and various different information on corporate support, event support, live interpretation and educational workshops, including our ongoing walk to school projects. You can also find us on Facebook at Histrionics, and you can find us on Instagram at All the History Events, and we're still on X too at All the History.
Yeah, and what I would say is if you've got some creative ideas on shows and idea pieces, Dave is actually really good at creating some really unique shows, really unique experiences that are made to measure, and Basically, get everyone laughing at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's all about the fun.
It is not a dry history show.
No, it's not.
all
It's about fun. It's exciting. We're making the past your playground.
There you go. Right, thank you so much for joining me, Dave.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Bye.